vocabulary, or how we can use technology to enhance our vocabulary instruction in the classroom. I'm going to be going over a few of the steps from the article Vocabulary plus Technology, and then how we can implement that was another article. It was called Evoke Strategies. So we'll talk about that today too. So let's get going. What is vocabulary? A word captures an idea, but vocabulary implies that a person understands the idea and attaches a term to a concept. So we know that a student has learned the vocabulary of a word when they use it in interactions with other students, when they can use it in conversations, and that intrigues them too. When they hear a word from their peers that they don't know, that causes them to want to look that up. So that those interactions are really important for our vocabulary. We know a student has learned vocabulary when they use it in their writing and when they can connect a vocabulary word to other words that they know. All of those three concepts are really key in really knowing that students know and understand vocabulary. Two things to keep in mind when thinking about vocabulary instruction is, one, that vocabulary learning is largely a social transaction. We're going to talk today about how words are created and used, and it's very social. We make up new words, we come up with new words, we use words that other people around us are using, we talk and communicate with vocabulary. Everything we do concerning vocabulary really shows that it's very social. And another thing to keep in mind is we learn words we need when that word has value to us. So when we use words consistently and continuously, when we hear words within our conversations, we always want to know what they mean. Even if it's silly or weird, we can think that about a lot of the text words that are coming out and the new words that kids are coming up with that we go and figure out because we want to know what they mean. That's all involved in vocabulary. So here are some examples of new words that we probably know because they're in our vocabulary now. This word is hangry. I'm sure you've heard hangry before. If you see, hangry was added into the dictionary September 2018, so just this year. And we know that it means when you're hungry and you're angry, and it's become something that is involved in our vocabulary. There's a little kitty who's showing an example of being hangry. So, mansplain. This was a funny one that came into our dictionary in March 2018. Mansplain is when a man is explaining something that they might not know all about. This was kind of a funny one to look up, but it's a new word and it's a vocabulary word that we might know about. Selfie. We definitely know what selfie means now. That went into the dictionary, I think it was 2005. A selfie is when you take an image of oneself taken by oneself using a digital camera, especially for posting on social networks. So selfie has become a big word that we know about. Oh, there it is. Oh, updated 2018, but it was in the dictionary before then. There are a lot of words that have come about because of social media, a lot of combinations of words and different things, and selfie is one of those. Kofefe. So this is a funny, I wanted to give an example of how a word can be created just at the drop of a hat, and it just takes people using it and reusing it. So last year in May 2017, President Trump set out a tweet that wasn't finished and was spelled incorrectly, despite the constant negative press. Kofefe. So I went out there, and everybody kind of ran with it, and it became a big joke. And now it's got, if you search it on the internet, it has lots of different examples and uses, and it's kind of funny. But this is how words are being created almost daily. It seems like people just use the word, and it gets used enough or by enough people that it becomes a word, and suddenly it's in our dictionary and we're using it and we know what it means. This doesn't really have a meaning. It's kind of just a silly word, but it's interesting to see how vocabulary is constantly changing and being updated, and it's really fun to see how words are so influenced by social media and what's going on around us. So from the first article, Vocabulary Self-Collection Strategy Plus VSS Plus, it's a strategy that guides students to a deep understanding of terms that are relevant to their study of text. A few parts of this strategy are that it's an after-reading instructional routine. So they want the teacher, the students to read the text together, alone, however you do that in your classroom, then come back together and discuss what words were important. You can have students find 2 words each, or 1 word in each group, or you can suggest some words, but really to collaborate and to get that idea of which words were important in the reading, maybe which words did I not understand, and come up with that list together. It provides students with opportunities to engage with work. One thing they want is higher order thinking skills, and that's really involved when you're using technology. They want a variety of different ways for teachers to present vocabulary to students, not just copying out of the dictionary and flashcards, which are things that we've seen being done for a long time. Their thing is that there's a lot of technology out there, and we should be able to use that and create different ways for students to engage with these words so that they can use technology and really get that deep understanding of what a word means. One thing that they really expressed is the importance of collaboration when we're looking at technology instruction. As we talked about before, vocabulary really is affected by social elements. And we make new words, we use words, we converse with other people, and for students to really learn a word in the classroom and to really have a deep understanding of a word, they really need to collaborate and really understand what that word is through a variety of different ways. And when they can work with a group or a team and really come to the understanding of a word and work together to figure out that word, it's the key to them really, truly, deeply understanding a vocabulary word. One strategy that VSS Plus talked about was creating an online dictionary. And we'll go over that in the next slide about different ways that we can go about doing that. But it's an interesting idea to have a blog or Google Slides or whatever means that you want to use to create it. But once you've come up with that word list, to then go into groups and together create a dictionary of a word with the definition, with a picture, with a video, with whatever resource the students can find that helps them understand that word, and putting it together in a collective so that all students can see these different words and how their peers have come to understand them. And within that making of the dictionary, they have these higher order conversations with each other about these words and what it truly means, and no, it means this, and instead of this, and there's so many definitions to different words and ways to use different words that really those conversations are the key for really understanding vocabulary. So one thing that I really liked about this article was how much they stressed that collaboration, that collaborative tool when learning vocabulary. The evoke strategy was the second article, and it's an electronic or technology-based strategy that teachers can use to develop vocabulary learning and interest in words. There were 10 evoke strategies, and we'll go over those a little bit later because they gave a lot of great resources. So we're going to go through some of those resources and really dig into them and see what's out there for us to use when using technology with vocabulary. So one thing I really liked about the evoke strategy is, yeah, there are 10 strategies, but it really gives you the independence to go out and look at all of the different resources, figure out what's good for you, your classroom, and how you teach, your teaching style, and pick the best one or two or all of them and really dig into them and use them in your classroom. So that's one thing that I really liked about the evoke strategies, was that it's not really a curriculum that you're bound to, that you have to follow and do in your classroom. It really gives you the freedom to go through and pick and choose the things that you like that work for your subject or your grade level, and really go into them and use them in a really successful way in your classroom. So I really enjoyed this article. And one quote that I liked was, "We believe that we must take risks as teachers to do justice to our students." That's really the key when using technology in the classroom and using technology to teach vocabulary, is that we have to go out of the box and think of all of the different ways that we can do that. There are so many resources, and it's constantly changing on us. Even within this article, looking at some of the resources weren't even available anymore. And so you really have to go out and see what things are out there for you to use and what things you really like, and really grab a hold of them and present them to the students so that we can do what we need to do for our students to learn vocabulary. Well, let's get into all of our activities now and learn some of these strategies and some of the ways that we can use technology in the classroom.